I'd like to begin with a reading from St. Luke's Gospel. Jesus called the people, and he addressed this parable to them. What man among you having 100 sheep, and losing one of them, would not leave the 99 in the desert, and go after the lost one until he finds it? And when he does find it, he sets it on his shoulder with great joy. And on his arrival home, he calls his friends and neighbors and says to me, "Rejoice with me, because I have found my lost sheep." Rejoice with me, because I have found my lost sheep. I'm happy to be with you for this video. Very important time in your life as you're preparing for the sacrament of reconciliation, as you're preparing for your first penance, as you're preparing for your first confession. These videos are going to help you to understand not just how to go to confession, but what it really means and how to prepare yourself deep in your heart. You're going to see in the video ahead, you're going to see where you would come in and where you would kneel on one side of the screen. You're going to see where the priest is going to be seated at the other side of the screen. You're going to hear how to begin your confession. You're going to hear how then you would tell your sins to the priest, and he will listen. After you tell your sins to the priest, he's going to have some words of advice for you. So listen closely to them, because he means them just for you. After that, he will give you a penance, a prayer to say when you leave the confessional. Then he's going to ask you to say your prayer, the act of contrition, the prayer when you tell God that you're sorry for your sins. After you've said your prayer, the priest will say his prayer, the prayer of absolution, the prayer that forgives your sins. He'll give you a blessing, and then you'll leave, and I can guarantee you, you're going to feel so good when you leave that room, when you know that you've received God's mercy and forgiveness. But there's something else beyond knowing the different parts of going to confession, something very important in preparing for confession, and that's an examination of conscience. It's important that you do that before you go in to talk to the priest. So I'd ask you to pay attention to the next slide that explains so very, very well what we mean by an examination of conscience.